Hello, this is Chase Palagi recording live and broadcasting at your leisure. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to get into and dissect the Benchmade 484 Nakamura as well as the 1601 rendition. I have to say, as a knife guy, you get to a point where you normally have a really good idea of good and functional designs. Although I never doubted that the Nakamura was a functional design, I honestly just had no desire to own it. I have to say, this is one of those knives that took me 100% by surprise in about every way. This probably has an awful lot to do with why I'm so impressed with this knife. The blade shape is a very unique looking drop point with a swedge that runs straight through the grind line. The saber grind starts about 3/4 of the way up the blade and tapers gradually to a razor sharp edge. The result is a functional edge with the perfect amount of sweep and yields an acute yet strong tip. The sum of the attributes in the blade here has kind of a tough yet refined look and feel to it. The thumb stud on the Nakamura is of the best I have seen. It's flared out towards the top and slims down toward the base. This aids in a purchase that is needed to deploy the knife. It is a mark of a great design when they put thought into something as prosaic as a thumb stud. Another fantastic feature on the blade that happens to be a welcome departure from conventional Benchmades is the thumb ramp scaled with good functional jimping. Those who are familiar with my preferences know that this is a feature that I could take or leave on an EDC knife, but that being said, I appreciate the shallow grade of the ramp as well as the perfect spacing in between the notches. It hits that sweet spot and adds the perfect amount of traction that is useful during some tasks. It's nice to see functional jimping out of Benchmade for a change. The steel in both of these is the incredible M390, which is an all-time favorite of mine. It is certainly in the upper echelon of the so-called super steels. M390 is a third-generation powder metal and is exceptionally homogeneous due to this and a unique cross-rolling technology, which results in a grid matrix of sorts. This makes for an incredibly consistent quality control, so you know what you're getting in terms of quality every time. This technology produces a finer grain and more uniform carbides for higher toughness. This steel is ideal for those looking for excellent wear resistance, high hardness, and corrosion resistance. It takes an incredibly sharp edge and retains it better than just about any out there, and can be polished to an extremely high degree. It sports the well-loved and respected axis lock just as many Benchmades do. This is my all-time favorite locking system. For those who aren't familiar, it's essentially a spring-loaded bar that disengages the lock when depressed and engages it when released. It is simply ideal for one-handed manipulation. It is tough to see, but it is skating on phosphor bronze washers. Although the action on Benchmades are normally very well done, the Nakamura is exceptionally well done. The 1601 in particular is absolutely a thing of beauty. In fact, it has to be the smoothest I have ever had the pleasure of handling. It is just truly the epitome of quality. The handle scales on the original is scalloped G10. The actual texture of the G10 offers little if any traction, however this is remedied by the scallops which fall in line with each of your 4 fingers. I will say I'm not normally a huge fan of finger grooves as they can limit your grip options, however these are beautifully done. The closest way I can describe the grip is if you squeezed a rectangular block of Play-Doh until it felt perfect in hand and then could harden it somehow. The 1601's handle is stabilized by submerging the wood in a solution, and then they use a high-pressure vacuum to ensure complete saturation. Then it is cured with heat, which turns the once liquid solution into a solid. This results in a much more resistant wood finish. I noticed that the liners are not milled out, which I thought was kind of an odd choice. Doing so may have shifted the balance point a bit more to the middle, but as is, it's right on this first ridge here. The weight is still only about 3.5 ounces on the original, which is about perfect. It's light enough not to notice, but has enough heft to project quality. The 1601 is a bit heavier at 4.13 ounces, which I find very interesting. The balance point is at the same area. Just by examining the two, you'll notice that there is more of a streamlined cut around the index finger area in the 1601. Also, the handle isn't quite as thick, and the scallops are shallower and don't make it all the way to the spine like the original one does. To be honest, the original feels a little better in my hand. The standoffs on the original are pretty mundane. There's no real color or anything interesting. However, the orange anodized hardware on the 1601 looks fantastic. Those who watch my videos can probably tell by now I'm a huge fan of contrast. These are small details that cost very little but turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the 1601 does a great job capturing the essence of what we're talking about here. I understand not everyone is looking for all of that, and the refined and subdued appearance of the original is a safe bet from a designer standpoint. Centering is nuts on for both models, which comes as no surprise. The fit and finish on these blades is just remarkable. The pocket clip is Benchmade's classic split arrow, which isn't my favorite aesthetically, but retains the knife better than any of the others, which is important to me. It comes out of box in the tip-up position, which is my preference for the sake of easy deployment. It looks as though it can be switched to the other side here, however, the screw that is securing the standoff will need to be switched around as well. Another variant you may know of, or may want to know of anyway, is the -1 version of this knife. I actually really want this one. It has carbon fiber scales that has that classic -1 blue hardware, comes in S90V steel, which is proven to be another first-rate high-end steel with even better edge holding capabilities than the M390 and weighs a bit less at 3.3 ounces. It is just a beautiful knife. So, what's the verdict? Before I saw these in person, I was expecting a larger knife. I'm so glad that it is the size that it is. It's truly the perfect size and will lend itself readily to any number of tasks. It will make the perfect EDC option as the footprint is pretty minimal and is weighted perfectly for it. For those who carry knives defensively, this could also be used in that capacity. Of course, any knife could be, however, I personally would want something with either a guard or a jimp spine, which this one obviously offers. They did a first-rate job with this knife from top to bottom. I have to say that this knife far exceeded my expectations and has already made it to the top of my Benchmade list. So to summarize, it has first-class fit and finish, it feels fantastic in hand, has a striking and unique look to it, has the axis lock with an action that rivals any other in its class. The steel would be my very first pick above any other, and it has a very high quality feel all the way around. There isn't really anything for me to dislike here. It's just a first-rate option out of many high-quality Benchmades out there. So there you have it, guys, a review of the Benchmade Nakamura. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave your mark down below. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel and like the content so far, I invite you to subscribe by clicking the watermark down in the corner and then hitting the subscribe button. Thanks again, guys. Anyway, until next time, this is Palagi, signing off.